All right. Good evening. My name is Jack, and I'll be moderating this panel. It's behind the art, the intersection of art, technology, and entrepreneurship. Today, artists will showcase their artwork and discuss the intersection between art, technology, and entrepreneurship on a virtual panel. Before we get started, I really want to put it out there. If there are any artists out there, entrepreneurs that have anything they would like to share to the entire audience, or anything they want to get feedback from these artists right here, go ahead and put in the main stage chat your name, and I would love to share the backstage link with you, and then we can pull you up on the screen and you can actually share your art at the end. So I just want to get that out there if anybody wants to do that. So now to get started with these artists, today we are joined by 4 amazing local artists in the city of Chicago. We have Dr. Evan Brown, Dana Todd Pope, Rich Alapack, and Brian Sykes. So we're going to start with intros, and we're going to start it off with Evan Brown. So go ahead, just say a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, about 1 to 2 minutes. You got it.
Okay. Hey, everyone. I'm Dr. Evan Brown. I was born and raised here in Chicago on the West Side. I have a huge media background. Also, I dab a lot in music production. I've been playing instruments my whole life. I went to school. My bachelor's degree is in radio and television. I got a specialization in music business. That's what my minor was in. Also, I got my master's in professional media and media management with a specialization in documentary film. And then I went on to get my PhD in education administration. So currently I'm the founder and CEO of a nonprofit called Meet and Teach, which I will talk about a little later.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. Thank you for sharing about your background. It's awesome to see that you went all the way through to master's and PhD, and to really get out there and see what's possible with a PhD. All right, yeah. We'll throw it on over to Dana. Go ahead.
Hi everyone. My name is Dana Todd Pope. I'm from the South Side of Chicago. No beef with the West Side. West Side is cool too. But yes, I am a self-taught visual artist and author, illustrator, and muralist. And I model too, a little bit of that too. And I own a company called Fearlessly Hue, where we provide children's room home decor, primarily highlighting Black and brown children. And you can find my products in the Walmart marketplace, and also, I have a lot going on, so we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. All right. If you want to check it out, go to the Walmart marketplace. It's there. All right. Thanks for sharing, Dana. We'll throw it over to Rich.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rich Alapack. I am the founder of We All Live Here. Before I started doing public art with schools and parks and libraries and other community organizations all over the city, I used to do creative and brand strategy for Tumblr. I started a couple of tech companies when I was in college. We'll hopefully get into all of that.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. We'd love to hear a little bit more about your background, I know you were sharing to me the other day about how you got to where you are today. So we'd love to hear a little bit about that as we get into the sharing section of this. But I'll throw it on over to Brian, do a little quick intro, and then we'll get into the sharing. Go ahead, Brian.
How's everybody doing? I'm Brian Sykes. I'm the project manager of Insomniac Studios, also from the South Side of Chicago. I also am helping the studio to develop a curriculum to be able to teach kids engineering, to also be able to teach them how to be able to collect their royalties. So that's kind of my function here at the studio.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for doing what you're doing, for managing that well. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Nicole in the audience. Thanks for the shout out, and thanks for being here, and thanks for setting this up, really, from Chicago Made. All right. Well, now that we got the intros out of the way, we'll open the space up, and you guys can actually probably share for a little bit longer than I said, just because we got to have a lot of time here. So we'll start off with Evan Brown talking about his organization, Meet and Teach.
Yeah, so my organization, Meet and Teach, we specialize in teaching creative processes in videography, photography, music production, and more. Cape Town, South Africa is one of our main locations of hosting these educational hands-on workshops. So we usually go there twice a year for 2 months at a time. With COVID going on, definitely played a negative role on us traveling abroad and stuff like that. We were able to branch off to the Bahamas. I took a group of kids that had learning disabilities there and taught them documentary film. So that was pretty cool. And we've done workshops with several other organizations and companies. We've partnered up with Under Armour, Champ Sports, the Chicago Police Department, the Boys and Girls Club, and several other organizations. So yeah, Jack is going to kind of like just run through the website a little bit. If possible.
I'll run through it a little bit. I just want to put this out there. Unfortunately, just for the audience right now, we can only have 5 people up on the stage at a time. So what I'm going to do is to make this work. Sorry, we'll just do Brian for now. So Brian, I'm gonna kick your video off so we can share his presentation, and then you'll just ask to share video and audio again. So I just wanted to tell you that so you weren't surprised that I'm gonna kick you out. All right, let's do that. Okay. So I'll kick you out, and then we'll. I'm gonna share the screen. So we're gonna go here into your, to your website.
Okay.
Here we go. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Awesome. Yeah.
So yes, this is the site. Like I said, we travel abroad a lot. Currently, we're about to be tapping into the Chicago public school systems as an after-school program. So we're on the final stage of that. Our pedagogical approach is experiential learning, where we do offer like hands-on experience. And it's different. We're basically turning or putting theory into action. So we also have a basketball camp that I started, I think it was back in 2017. So we run tournaments out there in Africa, provide, a lot of different opportunities for those disadvantaged youth over there. And it's amazing. It's definitely great to get, students from over here and young adults, from over here and taking them there to basically get involved, do some volunteering, and be active, kind of like get civically engaged throughout communities and just making a major impact. So it's definitely an amazing opportunity. If you guys are looking to go, we're looking into going back over there in July of this year, actually. So we're going to try to get back over there. So Jack, you can play the video now. Right now, he's going to show a video. This is something I put together. Like I said, I specialize in documentary film. So all the shots that you see video wise, I pretty much filmed it. I think it's one part that I let one of my volunteers film. You actually see me on it, but this is my documentary. It was part of my dissertation. It's called The Heart of South Africa.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, let's go.
This the heart of South Africa. This the heart of South Africa. This the heart of South Africa. Yeah. This the heart of South Africa. This the heart of South Africa. This the heart of South Africa. Yeah. It's the heart of South Africa. It's the heart of South Africa. It's the heart of South Africa. Hey. It's the heart of South Africa. It's the heart of South Africa. It's the heart of South Africa. Hey. People coming in and taking all the land. They leave us in shacks and still have us paying rent. Yo, this is our land and property. We built this country. I wish you had a skin to see it from our lands. Apartheid divided blacks into colors. Had us confusing niggas on brothers. Another citizen killed from gang violence. Nelson Mandela, he fought for our rights. So let's come together, forever unite.
Pretty much it. So basically, as you can see at the beginning, it was kind of talking about or kind of displaying like the drugs and the crime that was going on. A lot of people out there do crystal meth. And so we try to adopt these kids from the streets and provide like different opportunities to expose them and, you know, to different amazing things. You know, a lot of those kids, they don't have the things that we have. They don't have like the proper education. So we come in and we try to do, you know, what we can for them, teaching them those creative processes. So
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing, Evan. That was a really awesome video. I haven't seen that before. You just shared it with me, so
thanks,
it's
Jack.
really cool to see. The videography on the video is great too. So it's just awesome to see everything's come together, and the impact that you're having there is incredible. And really, what you're having on those kids, using the knowledge that you've got over the years in your PhD. So thank you for doing what you're doing. We might get back to you a little bit later just to discuss amongst the other artists, but we'll move on now to Dana. So go ahead, Dana.
That's a tough act to follow.
Hey, you got it. Come on.
Well, I guess we have the kids in common. So I'm a mom, and when I was looking for items to decorate my children's bedrooms, I couldn't really find anything that represented them. You know, to be blunt, a lot of the items in the marketplace had white children on them, and I wanted to present items that look like my children to them to reinforce their self-esteem and affirm their beauty. And so as an artist, I decided to be a solution. So I started originally painting paintings. I was with the gallery back then, and you know, I dropped off the first painting. Everybody loved it. And by the time I got home, the gallery owner called me and told me it sold. And I was like, wow, okay, I'm onto something here. I'm not the only person that's interested. And so for a few years, I created only originals. I don't know if you all have ever seen, maybe some people have seen it. I have a jump rope piece at Lacuna Artists Lofts. It's like 3 girls, and it's connected by a rope. Yeah, that's my painting.
Cool.
Thank you. And that came from a dream. Long story. We won't talk about that tonight. But yeah, so I just, you know, I kept creating these images, and people kept buying them. And then a lot of, you know, I would do shows. I started to do festivals, and I would have people approach me and they couldn't pay the price tag for an original painting. And they wanted me to do something else that, you know, maybe was a little bit more affordable. And so I talked to a few artists that I know that create prints of their work. And, you know, there are levels to prints. You know, there are artist proofs, and there are, you know, digital prints. And so I had to figure out what level I wanted to be. So I kind of found the level in the middle where my prints are archival quality, but they're also digital. You know, the paper is acid free, the ink is acid free, but, you know, it won't fade on the wall quickly. And so I started to make prints a few years ago. And actually, I debuted them at Essence Music Festival, which is a really large festival. They have about 100,000 attendees every day. And yeah, ingenuity. I can't even tell y'all what I did. Long story, well, I'll tell you the story. They told us not to bring prints if they wanted original paintings. So I did all these small originals because I knew people were traveling. So I had like 30 small originals in my booth, and people were buying them. But then I noticed the other artists had prints, and I didn't bring my prints with me because they told me not to, and it was my first time, and I was trying to follow the rules.
Following the rules.
Follower, yeah. So I went to FedEx office.
And you printed them, didn't you?
With the zip drive.
Yeah, you did.
I printed out some prints and yeah, and I figured out how to package them up. I don't even know. I had what are they called? Matting. I don't know where I got the matting from. I figured it out anyway. So I packaged up these prints and I was in my booth. I like ran back. I left my staff there. I ran back and I was like, I have prints. And then there was a line out of my booth.
Come on.
And so like, aha, I'm onto something here. And so that pretty much has just grown over the years. I think I have about 50 prints available on my website, give or take, probably a little more. And then now I also do pillows. And now I was invited to apply to the Walmart Marketplace. And so now I'm a Walmart seller as well. And I have more retail aspirations. I still do fine art stuff. I just completed a mural in the Pedway right under Macy's, which was a whole thing. It was
amazing. Come on.
mural that would not end. But yeah, that was a whole experience. But a really awesome one. And I just got into, so what I realized is, so I'm self-taught. I don't have all the degrees behind my art. And so I've really had to kind of carve out my own space within the art world. And I'm finding that I'm finding my stride in business. So right now I am a part of 2 fellowships. I got into 2 business fellowships where that are going to help me expand my retail aspirations. And that comes with up to $30,000 in funding for my business. So yeah, so I'm kind of taking a non-traditional path, but I'm still, accomplishing my goal of making art affordable and yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing. I'm gonna, yeah. Give her a little round of applause. I didn't ask Evan this, and I'm gonna try to ask some questions kind of based on your story now. But the first one. You said at the beginning that you were talking about kind of the inspiration behind why you started what you started, and your kids and they didn't have artwork. Is that something that you've seen that your artwork has done now, has solved that problem?
For me, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely, and not just for me, but for other parents. I find that even now, there are approximately 10 million Black children in America. Okay. And when you walk into a mainstream store, you don't really see us represented. Even in large cities where we have large populations, you don't see us represented. And there's like a whole thing with moms of color. We tell each other where we can find things. And so basically, my goal is to have it, be mainstream, that you can walk into any major retailer and find something, especially in the major cities where we have large populations. It only makes sense.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's a good thing to point out. I think a lot of us, even me coming from my background, I mean, I walk into stores and don't notice those things. And so it's awesome sometimes to point those things out because of just my background and the people that you walk around with. Sometimes it's just kind of goes unnoticed because you don't have to face that. So thank you so much for solving that problem and even pointing it out. So that's awesome. And as you were talking about some of the things that you're involved in or anything, all 4 of you as well, I've been throwing your websites in the chat. If you wanted to throw anything else in there, feel free to as well. So thank you so much for sharing, Dana. I want to jump back over to Evan now because I forgot to ask him some questions. I just want to do that before we move on, just to give everybody kind of a fair shot here. So Evan, what was your what was the hardest thing about really making a difference in South Africa or in an African country because of like the differences between the cultures?
Well, actually, it was kind of a culture shock. When I went over there, I wasn't even considered Black. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, huh? And then like you see Brian's skin complexion, he would be considered Black, but my skin complexion would be considered colored. So it's literally, just think of a pyramid. It's like Blacks stay over here, whites live over here, and coloreds in this area. So it's extremely segregated. And it was just one day when a lot of kids was just like, man, you know, how do you use your camera equipment and stuff like this? Because I got like big rig setups with my cameras and stuff. And then I thought about it. I was like, it'd be cool to start a nonprofit. And what I did was I took everything that I knew how to personally do and just crafted it into a program. And I thought about it too. I'm like, how could I bring this community together? So basically, we started a program called The Race, and it stands for Teaching Hip Hop Essentials, Rap Artistry, Culture, and Excellence. So we were able to bring these 3 different races and, you know, backgrounds and cultures together through media arts, utilizing experiential learning to like stimulate social change. So we definitely made had a great impact on them, and that's what we're looking to do, you know, here in Chicago as well.
That's what's up, man. Thanks for sharing and for bringing those people together. You don't even know that it's so different and segregated in other countries. And what is like, oh, here I'm definitely this skin color and this is what I am. But then you're like, wait a minute, these people are telling me I'm not. Why are they telling me this? Like, what the heck? I am that. Now, you know. So cool, man. Thanks for sharing. All right, let's jump on over to Rich. Share a little bit about We All Live Here.
Get off the mute. So I started doing We All Live Here back in 2015. I came up with the phrase, and I just was walking around the city with signs like a weirdo, going up to strangers, giving them the signs, asking if I could take their picture. And I started a blog, and I started posting to the blog because at the time, like I mentioned before, I was doing creative and brand strategy at Tumblr. So when you work for Tumblr, you start a blog, and that ended up going viral. And I kept getting messages from all different parts of the world from people saying, keep spreading this message. This is a really simple message, and it really needs to be, it can lead to a different mindset. I'm of that belief. I think that we need to, rather than a revolution, we need to have an evolution. And our mindsets need to shift and realize something common, like we all live here. The fact that we all live on this planet is a place where we can build from. And so I had been searching for something more meaningful than the blog. And I got invited to go speak to a local high school, just talk to those kids about what a blog was and how it works and what do you do with it. And somehow that interaction made their local paper. And so the principal called me back and he said, hey, that was pretty awesome. We didn't expect that. Can you come back out here and talk to more of our kids? So I did, and then he called me a third time. He said, what can we do as a whole school with this phrase? And I started thinking about it, and I realized that schools are kind of pillars in their own communities. They are a hub for a lot of people. So I felt like if I was going to spread a message and implant a message within communities, a school would be a heck of a place to start. So we started a program called ACT, that stands for Art, Community, and Technology. And those are the 3 tools that we use. There's a whole series of activations that take place at each school we go to. We've worked with 111 schools and almost 40,000 kids at this point. And basically, we teach kids how to correct hatred wherever and whenever they encounter it. So we don't know where these ideas and these thoughts keep coming from. So how do we solve for this problem? And I think that the best way that we can do that is to use the power of art, because art has a way to speak to people that doesn't offend people. The trick is, if you offend someone, then they just want to defend themselves. So they're not even open to new ideas, and they clearly need new ideas. So how do you get across when someone has that hesitation? And so we teach the kids that, if they hear something hateful, don't ignore it. Don't pretend it didn't happen. Remind that person that we all live here, and then walk away. And that walking away makes them have to stay with the thought, the person that they corrected. And so if a 6-year-old puts you on the spot like that, then you're going to have to consider why that child was saying that to you. And it becomes more powerful. And then with all the art installations that we do, it reinforces it. So hopefully that person not only sees it in their own neighborhood, but they see it, the message somewhere on their way to work. they see it on someone's hat or their shirt on the subway or something. And it just keeps driving home that point that 6-year-old schooled them on. And so hopefully eventually it flips their mindset to becoming more open to everybody that's out there. And I don't know what else to do because it's a pervasive and terrible problem. And in many ways, I feel like things are worse than when I started. Luckily, we're past the last administration, so hopefully we can start to heal as a country. But we went to a pretty dark place for the last few years, and it needs to be reborn. But I also wanted to announce something tonight because, you know, we're all here.
Yeah.
And I used to have a tech background. So like I mentioned before, I started a couple of tech companies when I was in college, and the pandemic has kind of put our programming in schools on hold, just like everybody else that works with youth and on this panel. And so I had to figure out, you know, what am I going to do moving forward, since we don't know when we'll be able to interact with our students again. And so what we've done is we've created a virtual school software platform called Schooltopia that greatly, dramatically improves remote and hybrid learning. And since not everybody's going to send their kids back to school, no matter if the school's open or not, it's something that we need to improve. We haven't done that very much. We've relied on teachers being able to kind of juke and jive and try to figure out how to get around the platforms that exist. But we've forgotten the importance of kids and socializing and being able to hang out with themselves and their friends in between learning and being able to learn together. So what Schooltopia is basically a content hub that's customized and personalized for each school so that the schools can fill it up with the content that resonates with their students, resonates with their teachers. And then We All Live Here is going to produce field trip content so that kids can still have some of the experiences that are vitally important to their learning that have all been put on hold for the foreseeable future. And hopefully we can start to bring back some of these things that we sort of took for granted when school was regular and get those back into the mix so that our students stay curious. I say all the time that if we can just give kids 3 C's in school, creativity, curiosity, and confidence, they're going to get A's in life. And that's what we really want them to do.
Man, you'd be preaching. That's pretty cool. Way to just talk through some of those things and some really key things. Hey, Brian, you want to say something? Or you just unmuting yourself?
Oh no, I'm just listening.
All right. I just want to make sure. No, you're good. I want to keep the space open. But yeah, thanks for sharing, Rich. I don't know if you want to share the link for Schooltopia, if that's a thing you want to share with people. You can tell people about that in any ways that you want. I do have a couple questions for you as you were talking through your things. I think one thing when we were talking, as different people are trying to take their art and go from like a job that they're in, like you were at Tumblr, and you're going to, you didn't know when you started you were going to make a company. I'm sure you just kind of did a thing, and then it turned into another big thing, and then hey, you're here and you're making a difference. But what did you do to really get into schools? How did you what caused that shift and that passion of like, okay, now I'm going to do this and this is how I'm going to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it basically just came from adapting to situations that sort of present themselves. And that's one of the things I tell early entrepreneurs all the time is, don't make the perfect plan. Don't even think that the perfect plan exists. Don't try to imagine that, because as soon as you start moving forward, that plan goes way out the window. And you would even look back and laugh at your plan because nothing goes according to plan. But so I just kept moving one foot in front of the other and kept doing one thing, which led to the next thing, which led to the next thing. And I think that's all entrepreneurship really is figuring out how to navigate those things that happen once you start doing something. And people come and present themselves and they have a way to work with you, or they have an idea that can help you. And so with We All Live Here, I started working with the schools because I knew that was a way to have an impact. And I only wanted to do this if it was going to have an impact. And that's what I was craving to do. And schools became an opportunity. I was really fortunate. The very first principal I went to, besides that first principal that had invited me to their school, she was the principal of the school closest to my house. And I figured if I can't get the school closest to my house to do my program will suck. So luckily that wasn't the case. And she was very insightful for me because, she taught me, I not being from education, I thought, hey, I got to go downtown. I got to meet with CPS folks. I got to get approved. I got to be a vendor. I got to do all these things. And all of that it involves a lot of bureaucracy. And she was smart enough to tip me off. Hey, I can tell that you're a person that likes to get stuff done. And if you go that path, you're going to wait 12 to 15 months to get off the ground. And you're going to just abandon this and move on to something else that you come up with. And so instead, I can give you the advice that the principals at each school are going to want to bring this program to their school. So just approach principal to principal, and word of mouth will happen for you. And she was right. It only grew as fast as it grew because, one, we had a good product, but two, people were able to share it via word of mouth and get it at their school.
Yeah, and I think that really keys on the point of not knowing everything going in and just really adapting to what's given to you by the people that have the knowledge and not having the biggest ego in the world, right? And being like, no, I know what I need to do. And just being, go ahead.
There's a theory of life that I guess I subscribe to, and it's like soaring. So like an eagle soars, a glider soars. It doesn't need a motor to get from point A to point B like a plane. And it just flies on the currents of the air. And so I feel like soaring is the attitude that I try to visualize for myself, to open myself up to opportunities that happen rather than try to force things to happen. And then to just take the path where I soar to that next thing. And I think that helps keep you in the right state of mind, because any entrepreneur will tell you that there's a lot of nights and days where you're like, what am I doing this for? I could do something else that would be so much easier than this.
I'm sure everybody here can relate to that.
Right. Everybody, right. And you have to be able to overcome that. And that being able to overcome that is what makes you a successful entrepreneur, not your sales, not your product or anything like that. It's your ability to overcome is what will eventually lead you to success.
There you go. If you heard it here first. So thanks for sharing, Rich. I'm sure everybody can relate to that and really showing what's possible by persevering, even through the pandemic and pivoting from like you're doing this thing at schools that's art related. You're pivoting all the way to Schooltopia. So there you go. Doing whatever thing you need to do, using your degree to switch off. So we're looking forward to, I'm sure most people that maybe they have kids are looking forward to Schooltopia, if that's something that'll get out there. Yes, Dana's looking forward to it. Dana, you want to say something? No.
I just want to say, so my daughter goes to Whitney Young and she's a sophomore. So, a big chunk of her freshman year and her whole sophomore year were taken away from her. And kids who go to Whitney Young, they love Whitney Young. They love their school.
Yes, they do.
And so it's been really difficult for her, just being at home. Like some days I have to force her to leave the house, like really like grab her, like, come on, we're going somewhere, anywhere. Let's go get ice cream, whatever. So something like that would be awesome right now. So if it's available and up, I would love to,
Yeah, we're stuck in our approval process you just can't show up at a school and start slinging software. It has to go through some checks and balances, and I think that's a good thing. But it will eventually get through that approval process, and schools will be clamoring for it. And most importantly, I think that'll lead to us as a society not being caught so flat-footed. We can't tell when the next pandemic is going to come. We didn't know this pandemic was going to come. And so, but what we can do is hopefully learn from things that have happened and make us stronger or better prepared for the next instance. So that's where I hope we'll be. And in education, we got to take the crack in the universe that allows for innovation because education is a bureaucratic space. And so it's tougher to get that innovation into the education space. And so I just hope we can get this in there during the rest of this year while kids really need it now.
Yeah, and like you said, you never know. Thanks for persevering and doing the hard work for us that really need it. So, as Dana put out, like all the people that kind of put this on, like I'm a senior. I missed most of my senior year, so it sucks, but it is what it is, and hopefully you can only change it from here. So, thank you for what you're doing. All right, let's move on to Brian. You ready to go, man? All right.
So, yeah, Insomniac Studios has been open for about 10 years now, and it was actually the program that we have for interns and also for the apprentices was actually created from youth actually asking the question, how can I get involved in this? My passion is music. How do I learn audio engineering, producing? And so our program was actually birthed out of the need from youth actually coming to speak to us about what they needed from us. And so that kind of actually birthed my position, which is teaching how to collect royalties, because, you hear a lot of times in so many different movies, how artists were, taken advantage of all their creativity and how much money that was taken out and how much money that was left on the table. And so I began to think about that because of the simple fact that we have so many dope artists that come through here and record. One of them, her name is Micah Estelle. She probably get me for, I don't know, but at the same time, she's a dope artist. But my thing is that she is an incredible talent. And without knowing where to go, what is a PRO? What is Song Trust? How do I get set up with Sound Exchange? These different things, it's a lot of royalties that artists are missing out on. And also just from the educational standpoint, just the confidence to know that this is not necessarily a hard thing to learn. And so we began to kind of navigate on how to be able to better assist youth on the South Side of Chicago. And it actually just came pouring in. It was basically a word of mouth thing. We didn't necessarily market it too heavy. They just kept coming in. And so actually, I'm a graphic design major. That's kind of how I started out, just doing art and visual art and getting into different galleries and different things like that. And my thing was always to pass on the knowledge that you have because it's not necessarily yours to keep. So for me, it's always kind of been a mentorship thing with the artists that come through here and also visual artists as well that I come into contact with because of the simple fact that the more information that's out there for them to be able to know, it's better for everybody. With withholding information, if we look at Chicago, sometimes when it comes to especially the music business, everybody is kind of in their own corners. Everybody kind of, keeps the information to themselves. And I've also experienced that in kind of the visual art scene, but it helps to bring everybody together and to be able to say, you have your demographic or you have your side of the city that you're working in, but at the same time, let's be able to link up and do some things together. The other thing that I do is help with artists to be able to connect to music licensing, because there's many different ways for artists to be able to make money from their work instead of just having to be on stage. As we've seen with the pandemic, it locked down a lot of venues, right? But we also still have movies going. We have Netflix shows going. We have YouTubers making content. So it's like, okay, take your production and tap into these different outlets, contact these people, build your website up, build your Instagram, build your Facebook up so people can actually see you. A lot of times I feel like as artists, because we create from the heart, we tend to stay within our own comfort zone. And so especially with musicians, it's like they're screaming for somebody to sign them. But, if you stay in your room, nobody will know you're great. It just doesn't happen that way. And but here when they come to the studio, we really like to be able to encourage them because of the simple fact is the most heartfelt that is when you're telling your story. It's easy to try to be who everybody else is, but that doesn't make you great. That doesn't separate you from the rest of the pack. A lot of times what I tell artists are, once an artist like Drake is done with a specific sound that he's been doing for 5 years, once he switches, you're gone. because of the simple fact is you created from his formula and you didn't do the work to be able to figure out what your own is. And so just here at Insomniac Studios, we've just been kind of just being able to push artists and just help them develop and help them grow. The other thing that I do is I executive produce artist projects. So I'm not necessarily asking anything monetary other than the group that I have, which is the God Hour. But I just help to kind of provide them tips of different things to be able to listen for. So if, say for instance, if we're talking about bass, that's a low end frequency. If we're dealing with different keys on the piano, that's registering from the mid frequency to a high frequency. So just getting them to be able to understand where these different things lie within the stereo or the speaker that you're listening to. So once your ear develops, you start to write a little bit different. You start to think about how you want to present your music a little bit different to an audience. And so that's the work that we've kind of been doing for the last 10 years. And I'm proud to be a part of it because of the simple fact that I want to be able to help Chicago artists grow. I would like to be able to branch out into different states and other cities, but here is home. I would like to help to fix home as much as possible. So, when we do spread out, there's just like with the curriculum that we're building, it's going to be online, but we're going to be able to give people a mentorship through their online process. It's not going to be video driven. We're not going to sit you in front of a YouTube channel and just say, look at these 4 videos, do what it says, turn in your work, and that's it. No, we really want to be able to engage with the upcoming producers, with our upcoming engineers. And the other thing is we are working to develop a workstation when we move to be able to have them actually come in and apprentice under us. So when we get new artists that come in and they want to record, we pair them up. So that helps you to build a clientele. So whether you want to stay on with us or whether you want to take your talents on the road and do your own thing, you have a clientele ready available for you to be able to make your own money. Right now we have one artist that's in Atlanta, Georgia. He does mixing, he does mastering, he does production. He also does lyric videos, which we were actually teaching here just to be able to say, this is just another outlet that you could do as an artist to be able to show your expression and actually be able to market what it is that you're doing. Another engineer we have in Tempe, Arizona right now. So our thing is, whether you're here or whether you want to go abroad, we just want to get you the tools to help you get there and be able to succeed and not be taken advantage of. Really learn the business that you're in. Every industry, no matter what it is, it has a business side to it. And a lot of times because we're artists and we create from that pure place, that thing can get tainted with, legal fees and everything else or different things in the fine print that we don't pay attention to because we just see it as our big break. And so our thing is we want to be able to help them to fully understand that. Also for the artists that's actually here in the room, look up Lawyers in the Creative Arts, Lawyers for the Creative Arts. They really work with low-income artists. Whatever your income is, they help to work with you and get you the information that you need. So you'll learn how to develop, how to be able to protect your work. We've actually been in the works with them for the last 6 months now. So, get your resources together. Also, if you're in school, please understand that your network is literally there.
Yeah.
Even when I graduated from St. Xavier, I didn't necessarily always like the college experience of having to go to class and do the assignments. But the biggest thing that I learned from that was that was my network going forward. As I learned to build. And the better you treat your network, the more your name can actually get out there and the more opportunities that you can get. So it's really all about how you carry yourself. So that's kind of just what I want to leave with the young artists that we have here. And also, check out Insomniac Studios. If you're looking to get into engineering or production, please most definitely reach out to us so we can talk to you, we can figure it out.
All right, man.
We want to push our artists out here.
That was good stuff. All right, thanks for sharing everything that you're doing, and you seem like you just keep doing a lot and pivoting. I think a big thing where I'm just going to keep throwing out that word, but a big thing that all these artists are doing here is pivoting, finding ways to take the world that's given to them and figure out what do I need to do to really make a difference now? How do I impact now, not the future? That's been great. One thing you said at the very beginning really piqued my interest, and I really enjoyed that you're saying you really need to give back the knowledge that you have, because that's what you need. Like just storing all that knowledge, especially as an entrepreneur that has maybe gone through, all of you have gone through certain things, telling people about those things so they don't fall into them is just so key, because everybody's falling in the same pit holes and you're like, what the heck? Why doesn't people just tell people not to do that? So
the key to entrepreneurship is really adaptability.
Yeah, man.
Right. And also being able to deal with the younger generation that's coming behind you, because say if I was a business owner in the 90s and I'm just not getting to the place where social media is really taking off, I don't understand it, I don't know it. But if I let some young people in that actually understand the social media of today, they can help take my platform to a whole nother place. The only thing that I really have to show them is how my business works, right? How to be able to help them to take care of their money, different things like that. So they'll pour even more into a business that I have just off the strength of me giving them some things along the way that I've learned, you know, so they won't necessarily have to hit their head on the same, you know what I'm saying, missteps that I did.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what it's about. You have to be able to adapt. You have to learn how to be able to let people in to help you grow.
Yeah, I think one thing also you mentioned that Dana also mentioned, and Rich too, there was like, it was like what's happening now with kids and what's happening with the children. They're stuck in their rooms, or people in general, like they just don't want to get out. But pushing people like and telling people, hey, like even though there's this thing going on and maybe you can't do these things, there are the things that you can do to get out of your room. Let's push people to like what you said. Let's try to shoot this. Let's try to shoot that. Let's try to go out here and do these small things. Maybe you can't hang out with a bunch of people, but you can still pursue those passions and learn things while we're doing this, and really push people to find those passions even within a pandemic. And then when we get out, they're just like the world's their oyster, you know? So that's pretty great. Thanks for doing what you're doing. I want to throw this out there. Keep it out there. We have about 10 minutes left for this. But if anybody from the audience does have any questions for these speakers, I'd love for you guys to ask those questions. I can throw it out there. I'll just kind of continue asking questions to them if we don't have any from the audience. I know we had one from Miss Mary Jones. I don't know if this is something that somebody here can answer. If not, then try to direct you to the right place. She said that she has a poem that's 8 minutes long to recite, and she wondered if there was a place that she could find like a company that she could put it on to be sold, like prints at a reasonable price. I don't know if anybody has any suggestions for her.
It seems like, Dana, this is your forte. So
come on, Dana.
Okay, can you repeat the question? My son was trying to come downstairs, and I was trying to discreetly usher him back upstairs, but
you did a good job. I didn't notice. All right. So it says, I have a poem that's 8 minutes long to recite. Does anyone know a company that will put it on a stroll at a reasonable price for a mass amount of prints to be sold to the marketplace?
Okay, first thing you need to do is go to copyright.gov and upload that poem and protect your poem before you make copies of it.
All right.
If you are based here in Chicago, my IG is Dana Todd Pope. That's my IG. Inbox me and I'll send you the name of my printer. If you want someone, I can also give you the name of a company. There's a company called Printify, also one called Printful. They are drop shipping companies. You can upload it, like maybe go in Canva, decorate it, whatever kind of way. And then you can upload that image and they will drop ship it for you. So if you have a website, you can connect your website to that drop shipper. So when orders come in, it'll go to the drop shipper. The person will pay you. They'll pull their money out from whatever the person paid you, and then they'll ship the product directly to your customer. So if you have questions about that, you can inbox me.
Yeah, if you want to handle that locally, Threadless will do all of that for you as well. And they have artists shops for your website if you don't have a website, which is just that one little missing ingredient, different from what Dana just said. So, and that copyright thing is super important.
Yeah, do that first. It's not even worth your time if you're not going to do that first, because you would have to go to court to prove that you did it, and it's a whole thing. Just copyright.gov is $45. It's not even a lot.
Man, we brought the right people to the panel. Go ahead, Rich.
So I'll piggyback on that too. So I had a really good patent trademark attorney when I started We All Live Here, because without the protection for that phrase, I didn't really have anything at the time. And I didn't know very much about this space at all. So I'm just going to share picking off on what Brian said, I'm going to share what I learned because I don't want anyone to make any mistakes if we can avoid it, since we've all made our mistakes. When I was thinking of We All Live Here, I was thinking of We All Live Here in different languages, so different translations. I was thinking of We All Live Here in different countries. I was thinking of We All Live Here in different product categories. And so something that saved me a lot of time and a lot of money was, luckily, the lawyer that we had helped steer things. So he kept imagining what we might do based on the conversations we had. And instead of like nickel and diming me for everything that a lawyer could charge a fee for, what he did was he found kind of shortcuts that would blanket different categories, because when you're trying to trademark or copyright something, you have to put you have to make a sale out of state to someone, and that puts a timestamp on your idea to prove that moment in time, that was your idea. And so if anybody does it afterwards, you have proof. So what he did was he said, if you're going to work with kids, do you think you'll ever make a toy? Well, I was so far away from thinking of a toy, right? I didn't have anything in mind. But because he told me I needed to protect that category, we created the Street Artist Toolkit, which was a box of sidewalk chalk that came with a We All Live Here stencil. So it was pretty simple to do. We took the labels off that box. We put our own labels on the box, and then we sold that to someone out of state. And then that blanketed the toy category. Printed goods, he said, you're going to want to print stuff. Can you just make a sticker? Of course. So we made a sticker. That was super easy, but that made a timestamp. T-shirts for the clothing category, and on and on and on. And all that could have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to do. But because he blanketed categories, it made it a lot more affordable to do.
Thanks for sharing that. Thanks.
Name. Okay. I'll
That guy's name. All right. Yeah, thanks for sharing your knowledge with the audience and with the people that'll watch it later. It's amazing to hear what you've gone through, and I'm sure you've fallen into your own pitfalls and kind of done your own things. All right, here we go. We got a question from Nicole. She says, I work with creative entrepreneurs who often say that access to capital is the biggest barrier for them in launching or growing a business. How do you get funding together to launch your ideas? She said crowdfunding, traditional loans, personal savings. Dana seems like she's going to jump out of her seat. So Dana, go ahead.
So listen, there is so much money out here in these streets. I did not realize, I thought that because I was an artist, I had to, apply for these big artist grants where I'm competing with, these people who are selling $100,000 paintings and, the US artists and all of those things. There are so many small grants, no strings attached, out here for small businesses. So if you look at your art from the business point of view, there is so much money out here. Like I said, already it's March. I've definitely secured $10,000 and from one fellowship, and from another fellowship, I can get up to $20,000. I have to pitch for it. So, but there's so much money out here. So, there are a lot of organizations. Are you a woman? I don't know. But for women and people of color, there are so many organizations out here that I know of. I Fund Women, Black Girl Ventures, just so many other, I think, 1871. There are so many organizations out here where they help you get your pitches together so you can pitch and get this free money that is out here for you, for your business. So think of your art from a business standpoint, not just you creating, beautiful things with meaning. It's a business.
Yeah, free money, always good. Anybody like one other person? Anybody want to comment on that? If not, we have another question. Ryan, you want to go?
Yeah, I want to say Shy Biz Hub, they actually help out with small businesses. The Center for Creative Entrepreneurship, they help small businesses, not just with acquiring loans, but also to learn the language of how you need to apply for, grants, or whether you're going to, venture capitalists. I'm actually a part of this organization called 2112. They hold a lot of workshops, especially via Facebook. and also via Instagram, where they hold a lot of workshops on being able to develop your business and bring yourself along. And a lot of this is free information. So I would say go check them out, especially the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship, because they talk to a lot of people in different fields that will be pertaining to different businesses that people might have. So really tap into that information, and they can help kind of bring you along, and you can contact them to just be able to develop yourself even more.
Thanks for sharing your knowledge. I just put a link in the chat. I think that's for Chai Biz Hub. That's what you're talking about with helping all of the local businesses. All right, so we're gonna jump into this last question. I would love for all of you to answer this one. So this says, where are your favorite places to meet or connect with other artists in Chicago? All right, Rich, any places that you connect with other artists?
Yeah, I mean, pre-pandemic, it's hard to find artists. Visual artists, musician artists, there's all kinds of places. I like the Stony Island Arts Bank. I like, I'm blanking on the name, on North Avenue, Canvas, places that I don't know, I hope are still surviving and thriving somehow after this shutdown, because events are a challenge to have these days. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't answer that very well, but those are my spots.
We got 2 spots. Come on, that's better than nothing. There we go. All right, Evan, you got any spots that you like to hit up? And maybe even with the pandemic, I don't know.
To be honest, I'm not too sure. I literally just moved back to Chicago. In August?
All right.
So I'm not too sure.
No worries, man. Any places? I mean, where were you at before you were at Chicago?
Carbondale, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I went to Southern Illinois. And I tend to kind of like just travel a lot. That gives me my balance. So like I was just telling Jack, I literally just got back from spending a week and a few days in New York. I just went just to do some filming and stuff like that. So connected with a lot of people out there. Usually when I travel, I always meet, people just randomly, that always, It's like a piece to the puzzle, either now or later on in life. So I'm pretty sure Rich, Dana, Brian, y'all gonna be a piece to my puzzle. You too, Jack.
All right.
So,
but sweet, man. Yeah, I think that really shows that even if you're traveling, and you maybe have a space where you're always meeting people. I mean, you're always meeting people no matter what you're doing, and there's always people to meet. So just put yourself out there even when you're traveling, and just you never know what's gonna happen. All right, Brian, what about you?
Sorry about that. This is a delay on my screen. Sorry about that. Lacona Lofts, I actually had a loft there a few years ago, and it was very great to meet just different photographers, painters, people that did calligraphy, just all type of different resources that they had there. Also, the Hyde Park Art Center. That was another place to be able to talk to different artists. So those are my 2.
Yeah, nice. Thanks for sharing. All right, Dana, you got anything? She's scrolling. What is she doing?
Yeah. Anyway, some extra stuff happened there. Galleries. The museums are open right now. You can go to those. And I've been keeping, in touch with my friends on Zoom. Actually, I've met a lot of artists from around the country that if not for the pandemic, I wouldn't have even met them probably. So I have like whole new friend groups, everywhere, which is cool. But yeah, the museums and gallery shows, they're still going on now. I had a friend, Roger Carter, he just had a show and it was amazing. So yeah, I mean, and Starbucks, we're all at Starbucks, yeah.
Classic Starbucks. Yeah, and check out Dana's artwork all around the city. Pretty cool. Thanks for sharing. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming out, for sharing about what you're doing and the impact you're having on this city and cities all around the world. as Evan's just traveling everywhere. So we thank you for that and for sharing all the knowledge that you do have. If you have questions for them, as Dana pointed out, you can reach out to them on Instagram or just kind of reach out to them through their websites that I put into the chat. But we also want to encourage all of you to really post about this event on your social media accounts, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and really share why this event was so great. We would love for you to come back to one of our events in the next 2 days as well. We have some pretty fantastic ones, so you won't want to miss out. So thanks everyone for watching. And the next event, we have a nice interactive platform. They call it Gamer Jibe, and it's a platform you can go like have a dance party. So it's kind of fun. You can go interact with people in there. Starts right now. So here's the link. You can go check that out. And thank you everyone so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Yeah.